You're on a path of personal development, trying to develop your gifts and superpowers so you can make the greatest impact that you can on the world, right? Well, have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly while, others just seem to be stuck in a cycle of almost like scarcity? Well, what if I told you that the difference often lies not in what they have, but in what they actually are giving? And what would happen if we measured wealth not by what you keep, but what you actually share with others? And then here's a thought. What if the key to abundance isn't getting more, but it really is about giving more authentically of our gifts and superpowers? Well, stick around because I want to dive deeper into this topic and cover principles and things that you can do to help with it. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of the book, The GIVER Method. And today I want to be diving deep into this idea of a giver mindset and thinking of it as a powerful way of thinking that really reframes how you approach abundance, fulfillment, and the impact that you are trying to make. It's not about giving until you're empty, but aligning your gifts with a purpose to create sustainable and positive flow of giving and receiving. Now, before we dive in there, if you're new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notification, like the video as we go, leave your comments along the way, and that way I can see what you're thinking as we go. Now, I also encourage you to go to thegivermethodbook.com because the book is coming out on Black Friday here on the 29th of November. And so I highly recommend you go get on that pre-list so you can get access to chapter 1 and get reminded about when the book is released so that you can go online and purchase it, because there's so much content in there that's going to help you on this path of personal development and going through the Giver Method as a part of that. Also, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places, and go follow us there. And once again, like and subscribe to this video to our channel, because we want to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the content or conversations or things that we release about unleashing your gifts and making a more meaningful impact. Now, you'll hear me use the term giver a lot in the Giver Method. That is the title of the book. And so you can go, if you're wondering what Giver or Giver Method is all about, there's tons of videos on the channel where I break those down. So I'm just going to give the quick high-level synopsis. Giver Method, Giver's an acronym, but it's all about helping people to discover and develop their gifts and superpowers so they can provide value to others who are in their sphere of influence, and so they can make every interaction, discussion, and engagement as effective and eager as possible, because the outcomes are you start to see deeper, more meaningful relationships, which I call relationship riches. You are able to make a greater impact because you're stepping into who it is that you're meant to be. And when you develop your gifts and superpowers and give them without expecting anything in return, from this abundance mindset, the universe has a way of paying you back. And so I want to invite you to do that, to step into who is you're meant to be and give without expecting anything in return so that the universe can pay you back. Now, because of that, with each principle, I'm going to be covering what it is, how you use it, things like that, and I'm going to be giving you an action item. So I recommend you grab a piece of paper, open up a note, jot down your thoughts about those action items as we go so that you can actually start to put them into practice. I mean, it's great you're watching the video, and I love that you watch this video, watch all the videos, but it's not about the video that's going to make the change. It's about the steps and actions you put into place to get there. So I recommend you jot down your thoughts as we go so that you can put them into practice. So let's explore these things about cultivating the giver mindset and explore how that mindset, fuels the Giver Method, and especially so to be rooted in abundance and positivity and intentional giving. So our first principle is all about the gratitude and gratitude gateway that there can be. Gratitude serves as the entry point in becoming a true giver. Now, it's really great because being Thanksgiving time frame for here in the U.S., it's a great time to think about gratitude and the things that you're thankful for. So gratitude, though, it's like opening your eyes each morning and seeing the world's gifts waiting to be shared. And when you practice gratitude, you're going to notice endless opportunities to make a difference in other people's lives. Think of gratitude as a lens that helps you see the abundance in your life where others may see limitations. Your mindset is going to shape how you show up in the world, and it affects your ability to share your gifts. When you approach each day with genuine thankfulness, you naturally want to just give back. So it's going to create this cycle where you're more grateful you feel, the more you want to give, and the more you give, the more reasons you'll find to be grateful. So start by creating quiet moments of reflection. I like to wake up really early. I'm just an early riser. It's early in the morning here. And I like to have those times where I can reflect. I can do mindfulness. I can focus on those sort of things. Now, while you don't need to wake up as early as I do, finding your own time for gratitude sets a positive tone for giving throughout the rest of your day. You're going to notice the small blessings, a friend's smile, a moment of clarity, the opportunity to help someone. You'll make gratitude just that default response to your challenges. When you're facing any sort of a difficulty or obstacle, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or how might this experience help me serve others? And this approach turns obstacles into stepping stones for growth and giving. So the action item, the first one that you want to write details down on, is go create a gratitude journal. I believe in journaling a lot, and have a section all about gratitude. Each morning, write down maybe 3 specific things that you're grateful for, and not just listing them, but really explore why they matter to you. And then connect each gratitude to giving. Like if you're thankful for your problem-solving skills, you might want to figure out how you could use them that day. If you're grateful for, a mentor's guide, how can you pay that forward to someone else? Record any unexpected benefits or opportunities that you see arise from this practice. And at the end of each week, just review the entries to spot the patterns and possibilities for sharing your gifts. Now, the second principle is an abundance activator. And so abundance activator represents just this big shift in how you view the world and your place in it. Instead of seeing life as a competition with limited resources, you recognize that giving creates more for everyone. It's like having a garden where the more seeds you plant, and share, the more flowers that are going to bloom. It's not just in your garden, but in gardens across the neighborhood. So this idea, this concept challenges the common belief that success means accumulating and keeping things to yourself. Instead, it shows how sharing your gifts and knowledge, and resources are going to often lead to unexpected growth and opportunity. And when you come from this place of abundance, you really create that ripple of positive change that's going to extend far beyond your own actions. And so you just train your mindset to spot abundance in everyday moments. Notice when someone offers you help, when you have extra time, or when you possess a knowledge that you could benefit others. These observations, it's going to build your confidence in the natural flow of giving and receiving, and being able to practice giving of your gifts and superpowers. Replace thoughts of scarcity with questions of possibility. So instead of thinking I don't have enough time, ask yourself, how can I best use the time to help others? And so when you catch yourself holding back from fear, from a fear of lack, remind yourself of the times when giving led to those unexpected returns. And so action item here is going to be what's your abundance activator adventure that you have? Each day spend time searching for examples of abundance in your life, and document at least 3 instances where you notice that there's plenty rather than scarcity. And maybe it's having a knowledge you can share, time you could give, or a resource that you could offer. And take this practice further by really choosing one abundance you observe each day and acting on it. And if you notice you have an experience that could help a friend, family member, colleague, reach out and offer guidance. If you see you have extra time in your schedule, use it to support someone else's goals. Keep track of how these acts affect your giving for both and affect both you and the other person. And notice how giving from abundance often creates even more opportunities to share your gifts. Now, our third one is all around having the value you deliver to people with your gifts and superpowers, having a vision that you look at that through. So this value vision represents your ability to see opportunities to create meaningful impact in others' lives through your gifts and superpowers. Now, there are times that you have to reflect and find maybe the unique ones. I've always been great with technology, and I've got cameras and microphones. I've got all sorts of setups and things. And in the book, I tell a story about right after the pandemic hit, and we're trying to come back to church. And they were like, well, how are we going to do it? I'm like, well, I do this type of stuff. I do streaming meetings through Zoom and such, and I've got the microphones, cameras. I use my technical skill and acumen and solving of problems to then go and enhance the lives of those who go to church with me. So think about how this principle moves beyond just a simple act of kindness, and it really creates lasting, meaningful change. When I did that, one of my favorite moments was there was a lady in our ward whose name was Juanita, and she, had to be homebound a lot, was in a wheelchair, and so post-pandemic, it was cautious and be careful, and so, she was able to watch and see who was speaking and the music, and I had cameras out in the congregation so she could see who's there, and it was, giving her that feeling that she was there and a part of that, and she came to me and she thanked me, and I, how much of, joy and happiness it brought to her that she was able to see those things. So like, think about it, when you develop this sort of a vision, this value vision, you see possibilities for impact more and more. In fact, you start to see them everywhere. And it's like putting on special glasses that help you spot exactly where your gifts and superpowers can make the biggest difference, which helps you to give more of them and develop them more. And so it shifts, the, ordinary interactions into opportunities for really big giving. And so as you start an interaction, ask yourself, how can my gifts serve here? And rather than waiting to be asked for help, actively look for the ways you can contribute to it. As I do this idea of giving without expecting anything in return, I talk a lot about when I'm in different, communities and mastermind groups, that I show up and my goal is to just give as much as humanly possible. I don't wait for people asking me for help. I just give. In fact, I never ask them to come work with me. But the universe has a way of showing them when the time is right for them or the people they know to reach out to me and work with me at that time. So I'm just focusing on creating value without that expectation of any sort of return. So as you practice, what I call like value scanning, you can just regularly assess the situation or the relationship for opportunities where you can contribute as meaningfully as possible. And so the action item is to, in your journal, think of a value creation section where each day you identify, 2 to 3 specific ways you could add value to different areas of your life or relationships or professional connections or in your community. And be very specific on which goal, which gift or superpower you could use and how they're going to benefit the others, and choose one value creation opportunity each day and act on it. And then once again, come back, document what it was. How was it received? What did you learn? Pay attention to those unexpected positive outcomes that emerge because you've had that focus on creating value for others. Now, the fourth one is on this idea of there's a currency for connection. So currency connection represents the wealth that comes when you build genuine, giving-focused relationships. Unlike in business, like traditional networking, which focuses on what you can get from others, this principle really emphasizes creating authentic bonds through generosity and shared growth. It's about building what the GIVER method calls those relationship riches. So these connections form a support system that is going to amplify your ability to give and create opportunities for collaboration and impact. So when you invest in the relationship through genuine giving, you're going to create a network of people who support and enhance your ability to give. And so you just approach these, each of the interactions with curiosity about how you might support the other person's journey, and then listen deeply to understand their challenges, their dreams, their needs, and then take that time, the time that would be needed to build trust through that consistent and authentic engagement, and just showing up as who you are. Focus on creating what I call those giving moments, the opportunities to strengthen the connection through acts of service. And remember that small, consistent acts often build stronger bonds than grand gestures. And so create your, what's your connection development or cultivation plan. Each week, identify what are those 2-3 relationships you'd like to strengthen, and it could be personal, friendship, family, professional relationship, whatever. Each relationship, plan specific ways that you could add value using your gifts and superpowers, and then make sure that you journal documenting your giving interactions and their impact, and note how relationships start to evolve as you consistently show up authentically with this generosity. Record any unexpected ways that you saw strengthened connections. These strengthened connections create opportunities for growth, greater impact, anything along those lines. Our fifth principle that we talked about growth is about, I call it the growth generator, which is about, transforming your challenges into opportunities and expanding your giving capacity. Instead of seeing difficulties, setbacks, roadblocks, anything that comes up, you recognize them as the chances to develop your gifts and strengthen your existing ones. This mindset turns every obstacle into a classroom where you can be a more efficient giver. When you embrace that sort of a growth generator thinking, you really start seeking the lessons in every experience. Every challenge becomes a chance for you to discover new ways to serve others or to share your growing wisdom. So what it's going to do is it keeps you moving forward even when it feels difficult. So when you're facing any sort of an obstacle, ask yourself the questions like, what new skill or insight am I gaining, and how might this experience help me serve others? And what gift or superpower am I developing through this challenge? Turning these difficulties and opportunities, you're going to start to create what I call those growth stories you have, which are the narratives about past challenges and how you enhance your ability to give. And you can share those stories, and it helps others who are in similar situations, turning your growth into a guidance system for others. And so the action item here is, what is your documenting in a journal? Like, what is your growth you've had through giving? And when you encounter challenges, that you document not just what happened, but what you learned and how it might help others, and then identify the specific ways each challenge is developing your gifts and superpowers. Then throughout the week or each week, just choose one lesson from a recent challenge and then find a way to share it with others, and just jot down your thoughts along the way so that you can notice how your challenges are becoming stepping stones for a collective growth. Now, the sixth principle is what I call the joy journey, which is all about, basically it's designed to remind us that authentic giving naturally creates happiness. Unlike seeking joy through receiving, giving-based joy has no limits, and it grows the more and more you share and the more that you serve. It helps you to discover the deep satisfaction that comes with using your gifts and superpowers to make others' lives better. Joy isn't just about grand gestures or recognition. It's found in the small, intimate moments, like a thank you, a smile, a problem solved, a burden lifted from someone's shoulders, even if it was for a moment. And these moments create that type of happiness that lasts longer than any material would. And so just start to notice and celebrate the joy of giving moments, and pay attention to how you feel when you share your gifts freely, and take the time to recognize how your giving is going to create positive energy that energizes you and others. You look for those, what I call joy markers, which, small rituals that help you notice and appreciate the happiness that comes with your giving. Like, it might be taking a moment to reflect after helping someone, or sharing your giving experience with a friend who understands. And so the action item here is, in that journal, what's the joy in giving section you have? And each day, document one act of giving and the joy it brought, both to you and others. Think about this, look at how intentional it is when you start doing that, and you're looking for the ways to do it throughout each day. Be specific to what you gave, how it helped, and what feelings were created. And then review that joy weekly, where you can reflect on your giving experiences and notice the patterns of what types of giving bring you the most joy, so that you can start to maybe look for ways that you can do those ones more for others, since it brings you joy and adds energy to build up you giving with your gifts and superpowers. And then, of course, there's this idea of, I talk a lot about legacy, and there's this legacy loop that happens, which represents the ongoing impact of your giving journey. I talk a lot about the ripples spreading across a pond. Each, act of giving with your gifts and superpowers, it creates effects that continue long after your initial, interaction. Your gifts and superpowers can create similar, long-lasting positive change in the lives of others. So what I want to do is I remind us that giving isn't just about that immediate impact, but it's about creating positive change that can continue and grow and spread well beyond what we expect. And when you do this and give authentically, you inspire others to discover and share their own gifts, and create this continuous cycle of positive change. So think beyond the immediate results when you're sharing your gifts, and consider how your actions might influence others to discover what their gifts and superpowers are, or might encourage them to start giving more. And then look for the ways that you're giving, to make your giving sustainable and repeatable. Create systems, methods, that others can learn and that you can pass on. This might mean documenting your approach to a problem, creating guides for others, or mentoring others, to become givers themselves. And so action item, what you want to do is start creating this idea of a legacy map, identifying what are the key areas where you want to create lasting change through your giving, which might include with your family, or workplace, community, but or some sort of specific cause that you're passionate about. And for each area, think about the specific gifts, superpowers you can share, how these might benefit others for the long term, the ways you could teach or transfer that to others, and then pay attention to the ripple effect of your giving, and then set aside time where you review that for the unexpected positive outcomes, the stories that are starting to be, are being inspired to come up and inspired to give because of your example. You look for the ways that your past giving continues to create positive change, new opportunities, to create lasting impact. And remember that as you track those instances where you see your giving inspire others to become givers themselves, these legacy moments that you have show how your influence is creating that positive change. And so the legacy loop reminds us that when we give from our unique gifts and superpowers, we create that positive change. It just grows, spreading long after we've given. And by staying aware to these ongoing impacts, we can adjust and improve what our giving is and create more meaningful and lasting change. Now, there are some common challenges people come up with. There's that idea of like scarcity thinking and, that belief that there's never enough time or money or energy or opportunity, and it creates fear and hesitation in people. And so what you want to do is, that's why you document those daily, joys and gratitudes and evidence of abundance, because it exists all around you. And, scarcity thinking actually blinds you from it. And so consciously documenting those moments of abundance, you just retain in your mind and see the resources, and opportunities that are already present. Now, another challenge is like that fear of depletion, because this arises when you believe giving will leave you maybe with less and less energy, fewer resources, or diminish your capacity to meet your own needs. It often stems from past experiences of burnout or overgiving. And so what you want to do, like, you want to notice how giving, notice how giving often creates more opportunities and more resources for you. So giving doesn't deplete, it actually expands. And when you give authentically, it strengthens relationships, it opens doors to unexpected opportunities, and it generates goodwill. But the key is to come with a place of alignment with what your goals are, your purpose, and where your contributions feel natural and energized rather than forced. So you do have to set up some barriers sometimes so that you don't get depleted in that sort of a way. And then, of course, I see where there's an attachment, that happens when you expect specific outcomes. Like, what's the results I'm expecting from it? That's a good way of putting it. From giving, is it a recognition or that it's going to reciprocate back to you, or see an immediate impact? And what that does is it can lead to disappointment and frustration and self-doubt. So focus on that joy of giving itself. Releasing any attachment to outcomes allows you to give freely, appreciating the act itself rather than the result. And when you give without strings attached, you experience that sense of freedom and fulfillment that isn't dependent on external validation. And you trust that your giving creates those ripple effects even if you don't see them immediately. And like I mentioned, that is you inviting the universe to pay you back in all sorts of ways. So you will find the ways that comes back to you in a positive manner. And so just start small. Each morning, identify the one thing you could do to give value today. Notice how natural abundance that can flow from genuine giving. And remember, that's not about those grand gestures, but that consistent, authentic sharing of gifts. The giver mindset isn't just a way of thinking, it's a way of being. And when you approach life from abundance, your life, your gifts and superpowers flow more freely, your impact just grows naturally, and you just create deeper connections with others, effortlessly. And so if you're ready to explore how to cultivate that giver mindset and discover gifts and superpowers and do more with it, go to thegivermethodbook.com and get on the list for the launch. It puts you on the newsletter list as well. When the book comes out, it'll have amazing results for you, I promise. And what we do is we share exclusive insights and tips about creating abundance and giving and gifts that we want you to get access to. Go follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those places, so that you can really see how, the different ways of value that we're providing out to people to help them to develop those gifts and superpowers and give from this idea of an abundance mind frame. Now, if this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. And what I'd love is if in the comments, you could tell us about a time where your giving led to that unexpected abundance, because your story might inspire someone else to embrace this sort of a giver mindset. So remember, it's not about having more, it's about giving more freely from what you already have. Your gifts aren't limited resources that get depleted. Like, they're channels to be expanded and used more and more. And so I just encourage you, until next time, just keep growing, keep giving, and remember that the most abundant life comes from giving your gifts and superpowers more generously. And the world is waiting for your unique set of gifts and superpowers to be given so that people can benefit from it. And so with that, I'll just say until next time, have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next video.